Travis from Insane Throttle Motorcycle Madhouse Radio. 24/7 and nothing but the best in 80s till today rock and metal, baby. And here's an added bonus. You can now listen to Motorcycle Madhouse Morning Show with Hollywood and Chinatown live on the air. Go to motorcyclemadhouse.com and bookmark the radio station and get down with the king of biker radio. Rock on. What's up, everyone? How you guys doing? Welcome to Monday Night Raw, baby. We got the Deer Whisperer in here today. It's motorcycle versus deer. I hit a deer. Now what? And leave it up to Marco to hit one. He's got a special video that he's going to be throwing out there so you guys can watch that. But it is May. That's Motorcycle Awareness Month here. And boy, I think we need more than just a month when it comes to motorcycle awareness. I think, Marco, that this kind of stuff should be taught in driver's ed about how to watch for a motorcycle. I think they need better training.
Yeah, I mean, let me tell you something. So since I started doing the biker news, obviously I have a bunch of alerts set up for anything to do with motorcycles. And I've been riding my whole entire life. And I am now getting these alerts. And 95% of them are people that just have died on I cannot believe how many people die in a day on motorcycles. Now, obviously, we all know if you ride a motorcycle, once you kick your leg over the bike, you know it could probably be your last time. Everyone knows that. We all take the risk. We all love riding. We all know what comes with that. It's just shocking to me that so many, you have no idea, like hundreds a day of people just in every state, just getting hit. And a lot of it, like May is Motorcycle Awareness Month because most of the bikes are starting to get out now. And some of us have been riding, every warm day since the New Year's. But, most guys are out now. Most guys and girls are out now on their motorcycles. And cars aren't used to them because they've been driving all winter without looking for motorcyclists. And you see some crazy stuff, moving, lanes, not turning, signaling across two different lanes. And you're taking a bike out and end up killing somebody. So that's why they make May Motorcycle Awareness Month. But you are 100% right. They should teach it in driver's ed. They should really just, they should talk about it more than what they do, because obviously you and I ride enough to know that people still don't look.
Well, that's true. And Rich just put deer ain't nearly as dangerous as the texting cagers. And one of the things when the laws were being passed about the heavy duty fines that came along with texting and driving, I was actually very supportive of that. And a lot of people say, well, the less that the government has, the better. But I think it was a law that needed to be done right now because people are so distracted, and it's bad enough they'll hit another car or truck. But when it comes to a motorcycle, the number one thing they always say is, I didn't see them.
Didn't see them. They were in my blind spot. Yeah. I was riding a few weeks ago, and I was in the center lane. Somebody was in the left-hand lane, and they started coming over, and I waited, and then I finally veered and beeped and sped up so they could see me through the window. And dude was on an iPad, not even a phone, had an iPad. Was the only, he was driving, looking at an iPad. I don't know if he was watching videos or doing whatever, but I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, it's not just for your convenience and your comfort, man. You got to really know there's 100 things you need to look out for. I'm also very supportive of this. I know people were pissed. They just passed it here in Ohio. Where you can't have your device in your hand or you get a ticket there. So they're they're not giving away real tickets. Like for the first 6 months, they're just doing warnings, but hopefully it'll bring some awareness. And if it saves even one person from dying, then it's probably worth it. So,
well, what's different about the United States compared to, say, Europe is they take driving very serious over in Europe. They don't eat while they drive. They're not distracted by this type of stuff. They got a whole different level of driving skill, if you would, over there, as well as the schooling it takes to get your driver's license and or get your motorcycle license over there. I think, I hate to say this, that I think we're too weak-ended on some of the laws that we have when it comes to driving a motorcycle or driving an automobile. I know when I came up early 90s, I never took a motorcycle class. It wasn't something that you did. but I am glad that they have them now.
Yeah. I mean, it is, you're right. I mean, it's good to have them. It's good to, to make sure that we're, following the rules. I know, I obviously started when I was a kid. I had a dirt bike, so obviously I didn't take any tests right away, but then I was riding on the road, doing all kinds of stuff. So I've been doing it for a while, but, it's a specialized thing. When you're on a motorcycle, you need to, I tell everybody, I'm not just looking for me, I'm looking for everybody. Like you have to just scan the road like you're the Terminator. I see everything, and I always assume they're not going to stop. And even if I'm going through an intersection, I look both ways, even if my light is green, because some of these people, boy, they don't even know. They just come plowing through. So,
well, they don't. You look at Mike Ball, that's the same thing that happened to him. And she didn't even get out of the car after the accident. One thing I do like is that ABATE at some of their classes, they're starting to teach first aid. And I think that's a huge thing that people need to learn, especially if they're riding with somebody, is first aid in case there's an accident that does come down. The basics of what you need to do. But a lot of people, they make fun of me because, I live out by the woods and stuff like that, cornfields, and at nighttime, I won't go near them roads. Here I am, a city slicker from Chicago, move out to the country where we could ride anytime in Chicago. But now, man, you got all those critters that come up in the road. And even with, your brights on and stuff, you never know what's going to hit you. But you had an incident.
I did. And I didn't want this to be like, wow, man, you know what? There's a chance I wouldn't be here, but it is totally true. I didn't want to go that. I want to tell the story of how it happened because this is so unique. I've been riding again for a long time. I've seen a lot of things in the road. I've seen things happen, and I'm pretty seasoned. And so for this to happen to me, it can happen to anybody. Not that I'm the best motorcycle rider in the world, but I just have a lot of miles under my belt. And so I was hanging out with some brothers, having a good time. We were at a bike night on Thursday, and got done about 9. And I was about 100 miles from my house, and it's a little highway. It's a Highway 23 here in Ohio, so it's a 2-lane highway, but there's no lights, so it's pretty dark. And I was doing about 80 in the right hand lane, and it was just a perfect storm of craziness. So I'm coming around a turn. It's bending a little bit to my left. It's like a little berm. It's in like a little hollow, right? So I'm kind of go down a little bit. You feel the temperature change on your bike, when you're doing that, and it wasn't foggy, but it was really dark. It was just one of those spots where it was super dark. Now, I have LED headlights, and you're going to see my motorcycle here in a second. So you'll see my Road Glide. It's pretty. I not only have LED lights, I have side lights that stay on now. So I have the LED blinker lights that also just stay illuminated. So I have 4 lights. So I'm well lit, and I'm coming around this corner, and I'm starting to, I'm still going about 80. My bike's leaning over just a little bit, and I saw this deer carcass. Now, I'm not talking about a deer carcass that's been run over 68 times, that was there for 2 weeks, that was a plywood. I mean, it must have gotten hit that day. I mean, it was a full throttle. I mean, it was huge. And so all I could see were the legs were facing me, right? And so the head was to the left, and I didn't have time to brake. I didn't have time to skid. I didn't even have time to swerve. All I did, and I raced motorcycles for a little while when I was a youngster. So dirt bike racing is like innate in me, I guess. And all I had time to do was stand in my seat just a little bit, and I hit this deer carcass. I mean, this thing is huge, and I hit it right where the feet, or right where the legs hit the stomach. Kind of that little triangle. I kind of leaned over, and my bike jumped this deer carcass. And the Road Glide was probably 2-3 feet off the ground. And I mean, it was kind of a blur. I got so lucky that I didn't hit this thing any other way. I mean, I didn't have a helmet on. There's no helmet law here in Ohio. And I was going about 80, and it was a highway. And I would have been plastered all over that highway. So I hit it, and I jumped this thing, and I come down. And as soon as I come down, I have what a RAM mount is for your phone? You ever seen one of those? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that thing, it takes me 2 hands to actually put my phone in there. This thing will hold your phone like nobody's business. But I hit with such force, my phone came out of the RAM mount, and luckily it was charged. I was charging it, so I had a cord on it. But I could see the phone, and I could see my I have a iPass that's got the two big, pieces of tape to my dash. Both of those things flew off. I hit the ground so hard, and then I actually caught my phone on my gas tank. I was able to slow down, but I pulled to the side of the road. And here's how dark it was, and here's how hidden this deer was. While I was pulled over 500 feet down the road on the shoulder, two more cars hit this deer. Like, you just couldn't see it. I mean, everyone was, they were just flipping it, running it over. It was insane. So, but let me tell you something. So I get pulled over. I'm trying to get my bouts about me, and I'm like trying to figure out if I'm okay. Obviously, I mean, I'm a little stunned, and I looked, and then, dude, let me tell you something about the smell. The smell of this thing was wretched. I almost threw up because it was so dark I couldn't see anything. So I had my phone with the light on, trying to see if there was damage to my motorcycle because I hit this thing pretty hard. And I could tell that my lights were rattling, and I could tell that that the underneath of my bike was a little messed up, and I saw in the back where I tore my fenders up. But the smell out of 10 was a 10. I almost choked. In fact, somebody pulled over. I didn't even see these people that pulled over while I was down looking at my bike. This guy came over and was like, "Hey, man, I just saw that. Are you okay?" And he was like, "Oh." Like, I was like, "Yeah, no kidding." I looked down, all on my left-hand leg, up my entire leg, my brand new boots, deer guts and crap, and just the most disgusting, vile smell you could ever smell. Now, I'm 70 miles from my house, so I clear the bike, I make sure everything's good, I make sure it's rideable, I go slow for a little while, but I smelled, and of course, this thing is all over the side of my, so I'm like, you could smell it cooking on my pipes. It's disgusting. It was the worst ride I've ever had. I've never had a bad ride on a motorcycle until Thursday night.
Well, let's take a look at it real quick. Let's take a look at the video that you got here.
Yeah, so I just parked my bike
here. Bikes to have because somebody said, "Marco, do you even own a motorcycle?" That's my Fat Boy right there. That's my chopper. This is my Road Glide. So this was in the accident, and you can see all of those fucking deer guts and this blood. Look at this. All over the back from where I hit this deer. I think the only thing that saved me was I have a pretty big front wheel. And you can see in here my headlight kind of came loose from where I hit that thing. You can see all kinds of disgusting deer guts all over this thing. It didn't do too much damage, except I got damage right there from jumping the carcass. This side, not too bad, but lost my iPass that was sitting right there. It was a heck of a collision.
So what was your initial thoughts when you seen you're coming up on it, or was it a last minute thing?
It was so quick, man.
Squeeze your butt cheeks.
Yeah, it's all I could do. I just started to stand up a little bit, but I mean, after riding home another 70 miles, I just and I don't want to be like, man, there's a chance I wouldn't be here. I'm telling you, I don't know how my bike jumped me. Think about a deer carcass. I mean, it's not. I mean, this thing was like laying on its side, so it's flat, it's obtuse, it's not like a ramp. And now, luckily, I hit it right, where the legs and the meet the stomach. So I guess it was kind of a ramp, and I've got that fat front tire, which is the only thing I can think of. But I could have hit that thing and just stopped, and I would have kept going into the side of the guardrail, and be smeared all over the road. I mean, All
right, so you were in this, and you just seen it at the last minute.
2 seconds, not even.
What would you have done differently?
Well, so one of the mistakes I made is I wasn't, even though you saw on that bike, I have, like I said, I have LED headlights and I have the side lights that stay on, but I didn't have my bright lights on. And that was problem number one. And there were a few cars out, and I hate turning them on and off, but that was a major mistake, not having my brights on. I probably would have seen it a little bit earlier. Although, again, I have really nice lights. So It was one of those things where I've never seen. This deer was in the middle of the road. It wasn't on the side, and it just was a perfect storm of, like I said, there were two other cars that hit this deer carcass while I was on the side of the road. It just
Now,
was one of those
now, this was in the pitch black, right?
pitch black.
Okay,
Yeah.
then my question would be, not to be a dick here, what were you doing 80 miles an hour? And I don't know if it was familiar to you, the road or anything, but a lot of people would say, what are you doing 80 miles an hour in pitch black environment?
Yeah,
with no-
I mean, it's a highway. I mean, the speed limit was 70, but yeah, and I mean, I was, I ride fast. I ride fast, and that was probably mistake number two. Was speeding, probably, obviously, if I have to think about it. But yeah, I mean, and it is a road that I'm quite familiar with. I make that trip down to my guys. It's in Marion, Ohio. It's about 100 miles from Toledo, so I make that trip probably once, twice a week, to hang out with some guys down there. So, it was, again, though, it's a great question, and you're right. You had familiarity with the ride, and so mistake one was probably no bright lights. Mistake two was speeding, probably, and man, again, super lucky. I'm telling you,
that's where a lot of accidents happen, since it's Motorcycle Awareness Month. It's not only the cagers that we have to look after, it's ourselves and the way we ride and stuff like that. We're not Superman if you've been riding for over 30 years, 40 years, whatever it is, because it only takes the one time to do it.
right?
How bad were you rattled after that?
Well, like I said, so I had about 60 miles to go to get home, and I didn't speed on the way home. The funny thing is, at first I was really rattled. At first, when I first pulled over to the side of the road, I was discombobulated because I just saw my life flash between my eyes, and of course I had lost my was looking for my easy pass, and luckily I had my phone, and I was trying to make sure I didn't have more damage to the bike, but I definitely was discombobulated. It was like I was in shock a little bit, actually, and I kind of had to walk it off. Then like I said, those people stopped, and I had a conversation with them, which sort of calmed me down a little bit. But yeah, dude. And then on the way home, I didn't go above like 70 or 60, maybe actually 60, 65. I was going below the speed limit, and I rode home with my brights on, thinking my lucky stars. But it's funny, the farther I got away, or the longer after this was worse, right? So making my way home and thinking about all of the possibilities. I'm telling you, I mean, there was a guardrail right there. There's no shoulder. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that I would say 40 times out of 100, I would just be toast. Easy, probably more. I mean, I was a road glide. It jumped. I mean, when have you ever seen a road glide? I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's a 1 in a million shot or not.
Well, here's an interesting question for everybody in the chat room. You are going down a dark road, or it don't even have to be a dark road, and you have one of these things jump in front of you. Do you panic brake, or do you hit that throttle and see what happens from there? Now, that's an interesting question that I've posed to myself, and I always say throw it into a heavy throttle. That way you might have an opportunity to blow through it and see what happens from there. What do you think?
Well, and maybe because I was going 80 that I was able to, you know what I mean? I'm not really sure about the science about it, but maybe that's why I jumped it and didn't hit thud and fly off, because I had a lot of momentum. I don't know, but I've seen a deer one other time, and he ran out in the road, and I was on a Sporty, and I was able just to lean a little bit, and I could almost feel his tail like brush my arm, and so I swerved to the right. He was running to the left, and luckily we didn't collide. But I think you're right. I think, man, I don't know. I've heard a lot with just when you brake hard like that, whether you're braking with your front or your back or both, it's just easy to get out of control. You know what I mean? That usually is what starts the slide. And that, so
well, that's
I mean,
that's a good point. Do you let that sucker slide, push the bike away from you?
Yeah. I mean, these are all things you have to think about while you're riding and while you're wrecking. You know what I mean? These are, and I do, like when I'm riding, I look to say, well, if something happens, where would I bail out? I always do that. I'll be riding And I'm like, well, that shoulder's pretty wide. If something happens, I can bail over there. Like you just have to think that way.
Well, your head's
And
gotta be on a swivel when you're riding,
yeah,
and you're right, you do have to be thinking about where's your emergency pull off, and this, a lot of people, they'd laugh, but in Chicago, that's why I used to love riding Sportsters, was because we can get in and out if we needed to, compared to, say, a road glide or a bagger, or a dresser, as we call it, in downtown traffic. We were
yeah.
able to maneuver better than with the bigger bikes, especially with the way people drove.
Yeah, I mean, and, that's why I love the Dynas and the Sporties too. Yeah, you're right. You can maneuver them around a little bit, especially in the city. You can wiggle in and out, and that's why I love riding them. They're definitely easier to get in and out of. But again, so I just have to think with the weight of the bike and the speed I was going. I think that's what enabled me to hit this deer carcass. And like I said, this was not smashed way down. This was a fresh, wide, round. It was a big deer. It's probably 125, 140 pounds. It was just big. And it was in the middle of the road. You hardly ever see that. Usually they're always to the side. And it just was shocking. And like I said, I had just enough time to start to stand up in my seat. That's maybe 0.2 of a second when I saw it.
What do you think you're gonna do different from now on?
Well, I'm definitely gonna ride with my brights on, even if there's cars around. I mean, especially if I'm on, and I'm not, I won't probably speed like that unless I've got a group of, if you got a big group of guys and you got a lot of lights on something, it's one thing. But tearing
Well,
up,
that's another freaking good point right there. What if you were riding deuce with other people? I think the reaction time, and that's why you got to know who you're riding with,
oh yeah,
is how they're going to react to something like that.
yeah, because I mean, obviously, if and it was taking up the complete, we were in the right hand lane. It was all of the right hand lane. I mean, we might have had time to split, you know what I mean, and try to go around it. But I mean, and if you had 4 headlights on it instead of 2, you probably would have seen it again. I thought I just got complacent, and I thought, you know what, I got these running lights, and I got real nice LEDs they're not the crazy, light the sky up, but they're real good. And I could see pretty far, but it just was coming around a curve. It was in this perfect scenario of something happened. Like I said, 2 other cars. How many times have you ever seen a car see a deer in the road and run over? Rarely ever. This was just in this weird spot that was like a blind spot, and people were hitting this thing all over. It was insane. But
well, let's take a look at it again, and it looks like all on the right side is where it happened.
Yeah.
You can just see all the nasty, disgusting deer guts.
And it does. It looks like it's on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
So just be careful, y'all.
Yeah. So I was surprised that it did split my rear fender there when I jumped it. And you could see in the back there that it did. But and my bars are a little loose from the I did take a pretty big blow. I mean, a road glide's not supposed to be 3 feet off the ground. And being jumped.
Now, did those highway bars work as they should have?
Yeah, well, they must have. I mean, I could see if you go back to the beginning of it, you can see a little bit of remnants right on the front. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe that kind of pushed it out. Yeah, like right in there.
Let's go right there.
You could see when I go through the wheel there that it looked like right there. So you could see. I mean,
what size front tire you got on that?
It's pretty big. It's a fat front tire kit, so it's not a standard wheel. So
you can actually, you didn't hit it head on. You can see that because the front fender would be bent somehow.
Yeah,
and it looked like. Did you swerve left on it then?
Man, I don't think I did. I think I went to the. I think it was to the right. I think I went right. So
went right on it.
Yeah.
And then let's keep going on here.
And you can see in here
now that's one of the major problems I see even with the bat wings and these glide. It's all plastic. These things ain't metal.
No. No, and I think, like I said, it jarred loose when it hit the ground. You can hear it; it's wobbling, and so when it's running, it's just like bah, 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 you can hear it like wobbling inside of there. So, but you can see those are LED lights; those are the expensive ones, and so they get really good. And those side lights stay lit. So I had a lot of light, man, but wasn't enough. I mean, I tell you, I only saw this thing when it was about 15 feet in front of me with no time to move.
Well, that does show you how hard you hit is because those things are loose right there.
Yeah, yeah,
And that rarely happens. But I'm interested in the highway bars right there.
yeah,
I like how they go frontwards
yeah,
towards the front. They kind of bend like that.
yeah.
And did the highway bars catch?
It must have. Like I said, dude, it happened in literally 1/10 of a second. But I can tell now, looking where all those deer guts are, it had to go underneath my highway bar. Must have pushed it down because there's no way it fit underneath there. So, and that's maybe what lifted me up. Maybe so was the combination of the fat front tire and the highway bar. Now that I'm looking at the video here,
Right. Well, you can see. Right. Oh, there we go. There we go.
yeah.
Is it bent up down there by the bottom?
No, I got under there to check it out, and it looks like everything was intact, surprisingly. But you can see it right there. All the trauma is right there to the front side of it. And so you see where
Nitro said did you hit the stomach?
I might have hit the stomach because let me tell you something. You can see where my foot would be on my pad right there, right? And my right, I'm telling you, it was so disgusting. Whatever the smell was, it did seem like I popped the stomach bag because I almost gagged. And of course, you see it cooking right there on my pipe. It was so bad, bro. It was the worst ride. I mean, it smelled like death. You know, like when you're riding and you pass something dead and it smells for a second. I smelled that for 70 miles.
I would have been right there. Where's the
oh my god! I was like, oh god, yeah. I was just trying to get home, but yeah. So all over my boots and pant leg, I had to throw my pants away. I threw pants away.
Of disgusting deer guts.
Yeah, see, everything's on the lower end of the motorcycle, basically.
Yeah,
all over this thing. It didn't do too.
Is there anything as far as the left-hand side?
No, not by looking. Go back. Yeah, and going back, it looks like the left is all pretty good.
Now, we also have to talk about, did you the insurance? Would insurance cover that? Because deer hits are one of the biggest expenses for insurance companies.
Yeah, uninsured. They considered it an uninsured driver, actually, or something like that. I think this is what they classified in Wisconsin. I don't know how they do it here, and I don't know that I have enough damage. Obviously, my back fender's ripped up. I have to try to figure out that, and my lights. So I don't know how much damage is done to the bike. But now again, remember, it's pitch dark. I'm on the side of the highway, and it's like it's probably 11 o'clock at night. And I can't see jack. I mean, I have my phone with a light, but I mean, I couldn't. So that's another thing. I need to carry a flashlight because I couldn't see if there was major damage. I saw that it was enough to ride. And of course, I rode pretty slow.
That's a good point you just brought up for everybody. What the heck were you doing not having a kit on you? As far, everybody should have a wrench kit on them, screwdriver kit, whatever your bike needs. And also, number one, a flashlight. Your phone ain't the best when it comes to that kind of stuff.
No, it's terrible, actually. So I've since actually gotten a little flashlight that's pretty bright, and I've stuck it in my bag. I have a wrench bag, and I have a few other tools, but I didn't have a flashlight in there. Now, I used to carry a flashlight all the time in my vest, and for whatever reason, it just was I don't have it on there anymore. But
and right, see what you're talking about. This is one of the main reasons I never had China doll on the back of the bike with me as the kids were growing up, is because you do have this unexpected type of stuff that can pop up. And it's one thing for you to go down, but to take a mother or a spouse down with you is a totally different thing. And as much as I make fun of her and stuff on the Madhouse, she's not coordinated enough. And I think it's too late in life for her to get on a bike. I don't care if she even takes a motorcycle safety course.
Well, you bring up a great point. Not only that, but if I had a passenger on, that little dipsy do, I had the handlebars to hold on to, and I saw it coming. So passenger's not going to see it coming. There's no way I could have warned anybody, and they're not going to be holding on handlebars. So passenger very well could have been ejected from the bike very easily. So
Well,
yeah.
like you said, you get the alerts and stuff, and I also got the stuff on the other site where there are a lot of motorcycle accidents and a lot of young ones.
Oh,
And what I believe with the younger ones, it has to contribute to speed, because a lot of that you see these rockets out there. And if a rocket would have hit something like that, I think it would have went down because they're more low profile.
oh yeah, yeah. I don't think there's any way a crotch rocket would have done what my Road Glide did. With the fat front tire, with the highway bars, sure. Yeah.
So what do you think should be the takeaway for anybody that's in a situation like that where you can't see? I would have to say slow your ass down.
Yeah, slow down. Obviously, and again, I know it's going to be cliche, but use your brights. I probably should have been using them. The chat room's going insane with why didn't I? The bike is cleaned up. I took this video after it happened, so everyone's like, why would this guy not clean his bike up? I don't know why that's a big thing in there, but yeah. So there you go.
We do have the studio line open. If you want to call, give your thoughts. It's 847-957-1656. Go ahead and get on the phone with that one. But there are a lot of people in here that's probably got experience of going through motorcycle wrecks, good ones, really bad ones. And an interesting question out there would be, if you get in a motorcycle accident, when is it time to get back on that motorcycle? What do you think, Marco?
Well, I've been in one bad accident. It was about 4 years ago. I was on my Sporty, and I was taking a turn, going to work. It was about 4 o'clock in the morning, and I took a turn a little too quick. It was it was an exit I was unfamiliar with, where I thought the exit was going to be more of a C shape, and it was more of a J. So it just started to turn, and then it got real fast, and I got a little close to the edge of the side of the road where the stones and all the sand and sediment lays, and as soon as I hit the left hand side of the road, my Sporty went down pretty hard. I broke all the ribs on my right hand side, and got a lot of road rash on my my arm and side of my helmet and a whole bunch of stuff. So I was out, and it was that's the worst accident I've been in. I was in the hospital for a couple of days, but I got back on my motorcycle probably. I mean, I wasn't supposed to be on it. I was probably on it maybe 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, with busted ribs and a cast on my hand. Just because, I mean, it will never deter me. I mean, as dumb as it sounds, I mean, just like this whole thing, I was riding today, and I'll ride again. And if you love it, if it's what you do, it's what you love, you get right back on. Now I was probably dumb and got back a little earlier. People were like, man, you got to calm down. My ribs were still broken and my arm was still in a soft cast, but, I don't know. I love to be on my motorcycle, so I just do those things.
Hey, veteran, how you guys doing out there? Sunshine, let's see what she has here. A friend of hers was driving through Milwaukee. Oh, here we go. We got a first call coming in. What's up? You're on the Madhouse. Raw. Who am I talking to?
Hey, how you doing, Hollywood? Brian in Columbus.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Brian.
Hey, man, I get off the subject here, but I got a question for you.
What's up?
Did you ever get in touch with Joe Morris about his art?
Nah, I never. Joe Morris?
Yeah, he does. He paints a lot of custom bikes there in the Chicago area.
All right, I have to look him up, man. I get so busy, it gets hard for me to freaking keep track to everything.
Oh, okay. But he, I'm on his website, and he does great, really cool custom choppers and shit. I thought you might want to check him out. That's all.
Rock on, man. So what do you think about all this with the deers and stuff like that, what Marco went through?
Well, you know what? I've been lucky. I worked out in Marysville, Ohio for 23 years, and I would go out there from Columbus, and I'd take back roads coming in to avoid the freeway traffic.
Yeah.
And at night, at 2:00 in the morning, the critters are running all over the place, and you just got to slow it down. I mean, I'd go down country roads, just going slow, headlight full beam, blasting my horn, because I've had deers come out on me, and it's a good, it's amazing when I think about it that I'm not dead.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this was right around your area. This is right on 23, right coming down from Toledo to Marion. So probably in the same neck of the woods. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a busy area, and the thing about deers is it's weird. They'll be looking right at you, seeing you coming, and not until you get up on, and then decide to run out in front of you. It's weird.
Yeah, yeah. It's like they just jump. They wait and just jump out at the last minute. It's pretty insane.
I think it's karma, man.
They're deliberately fucking with you. It's like, hey, here comes the sucker. Watch this.
Yeah.
And if all those deer buddies are hanging out, watching, laughing.
Yeah.
Wow. But
listen, guys, good to see you're not hurt, man.
Rock on, man. Well, I appreciate you calling in, and I'll check that out. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah.
But,
Joe Morissard is great stuff he does.
Rock on, man. Well, thanks for calling in, buddy.
Okay, how you guys take care now, Margo?
Yeah, take care, man. Thanks for the call. Love that, man. Calling it 847-957-1656.
Yeah, go ahead and call. Let us know give us a story of what you went through as far as
an accident,
deers, any kind of stuff right there. And especially what you learned from it and what you would pass down to anybody else that's riding. What do you think about these motorcycle safety courses?
Obviously, I think they're good. Anything that anything that you can take that's going to give you an upper hand, that's going to make it easier. Like I said, I always try to say, if somebody could be inside my brain, when you ride a motorcycle, it's just like a computer screen.
You're on air with Monday Night Raw. Who am I talking to?
Hey, what's up? It's Chops.
Hey, what's up, Chops? How you doing,
Chops.
man?
Good. So I never hit a deer. Worst thing I hit was a bloated possum.
Oh,
That fell. I had possum grease, we'll call it, on the bottom of my bike, and it smelled for weeks.
Oh.
I got back.
Now, how far were you from home when you hit it?
I was about 50 miles. And I was in my dress clothes because I was coming back from a wedding.
Oh, isn't that so? That's about like me. I had about 70 miles, and the stench, and it was cooking on the pipes. I'm telling you, I was dry heaving for an hour. It was so bad.
Where was your accident at? What state?
It was just north of Clarksville, Tennessee.
Oh man,
nice.
Clarksville, you got a lot of critters out there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, first thing I did is I went to AutoZone and bought cans of engine cleaner just to try not so that stuff wouldn't bake in.
Oh,
For weeks.
What would you have
grease.
done? What would you have done different if you can look back on that now?
There wasn't much I could have done different. I was in a pack and I was just, follow the guy in front of me. I veered off the road just a hair. The edge of the road caught me and bloated possum.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm telling you. Oh, it's the worst.
Anyway, man, I really appreciate letting us know your story and stuff like that. Yeah. And we can only take one call at a time. So I know that we got a lot of people behind you, but Clarksville, man, ain't that where Eagle Mountain's at? Or is that a different, what I'm thinking here?
Well,
I've never heard that name, but that doesn't mean that person's not there.
Right. Well, awesome, man. I'll let you go. We got another phone call coming in. You rock, but
thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Pretty cool. Love it, man. I love speaking to everybody. This is awesome.
You're on air right now with the Madhouse. What's up? Who am I talking to?
This is Nitro.
What's up, Nitro? What about your accident? Tell us what you went through.
Well, it wasn't an accident. I was a paramedic. I worked for Davenport Medic, and I had a lot of different accidents on motorcycles. I had one kid that we had went on scene with, and he hit a deer, and he didn't have a helmet on. He was on his way to work, and it was on LeClaire Road on the Mississippi River. And when he fell off his bike, he slid about 200 feet on his face.
Oh.
So his face was gone from the jawbone clear up to his eyelids, completely gone.
Well, let me ask you this,
Yeah.
Nitro, since you're a paramedic and you probably dealt with multiple motorcycle accidents, does the helmet make a difference?
Yes. For a fact, the helmet makes a difference. Especially, I think, if you're riding at night. But you know, like me, I'm one of them guys. I wear half a helmet, and unless I'm out in the rain, I do carry a full helmet. But I have a broken neck too, so the effects of how fast you're going and how hard that helmet lifts up on your neck or presses down on your neck causes a lot of pain. So, depending on how long you're riding.
Well, let me ask you this. What do you say to those people that say wearing a helmet only makes you pretty for the casket and really don't do anything when you're going a certain speed?
Tell that to the families of the brothers that have been lost for not having one on in the times they've needed. I mean, I've been in Chicago and had brothers leave a bar on the west side Chicago at 3:00 in the morning, begged them for their keys, and they were plastered. They shouldn't have been on the bike, but because I was probate, wasn't a full patch, I was told to stand down. And an hour later, we get a phone call that they both hit the back of a garbage truck at 90 miles an hour, and neither one of them had a helmet on. So at that point, the helmet wouldn't even matter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
By the way, Nitro has a YouTube channel. Tell us about your YouTube channel, man.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's a life's resurrection project. So we started it with us resurrecting a 100-year-old farmhouse, but then the wife got cancer. We do a lot of biker videos with the Cholo. You guys all see me build the Cholo all winter long. I had to sell my CVO to help the wife pay for all her cancer copays. And it really upset her because, a long time she didn't want me to sell that bike. She's like, you are not selling that bike. But when it comes to the person, you ride or die, you'll do anything for them. I sold that bike, put the money aside to cover all of her gas, all of the copays, and then I went out and bought a $6,000 or $7,000 Softail and completely stripped it down, and then spent the whole winter rebuilding it and making a Vicla Cholo.
Rock on.
Nice.
And it's beautiful.
Well, I really appreciate you calling in, Nitro, and letting us know your story, especially a paramedic, man. You guys must see all kinds of crap.
Yeah, thank you for everything you do, man. Because you save lives.
It was all volunteer. I was an iron worker at a steel foundry most of my life and a cement factory, but all the paramedic stuff was all volunteer. So
yeah,
well, awesome, man. Thanks for what you do, and
God bless you, man.
Tell the old lady I said hi, and hope everything's going good.
Will.
Rock on.
All right, brother.
Take care, my man.
Don't forget to watch Nitro's YouTube channel.
I'm gonna follow that now.
Stuff, man. Very good stuff. I think it's called Life Resurrection Project, and I do know that Mike Ball is in the chat room. If you don't know who Mike is, he's a part of the B-Can podcast, and he went through a really bad accident. And he just said if he wasn't wearing a full face helmet, he wouldn't be here. Even with a half dome, I wouldn't have been long gone. And I have to admit, man, in my younger years, I was piss and vinegar. I would never wear a helmet.
Yeah.
And now most of the time I wear a half or a 3/4, or depending what the weather's out, I wear a full. but let's go on to here right now. We got another call coming in to the Madhouse, Monday Night Raw. Who am I talking to?
Hey, this is Kevin calling from Pocono, PA.
What's up, Kevin?
From Pocono.
Let's hear your story, man.
What's up, Hollywood? What's up, Marco?
Hey, man.
June 13th, 2020. I'm in the Pocono Mountains, and I was coming around the turn. I was probably maybe doing 45, 50 at the most, and it was almost the same scenario like Marco. It's kind of like a blind turn.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the deer just come right out of nowhere. I knew there was a fence on the left side, so I was more or less looking towards the right side of the road, for critters or whatever. And there was a deer on the left side. He jumped right out in front of me. I hit him straight on, and when I hit the deer, it knocked my front fender off of the fork tubes and locked my front tire up.
Oh my God!
And I ended up high siding and ended up breaking my wrist, breaking my ankle, and it was pitch black. The phone came off the phone holder, and just pitch black, and couldn't see nothing, literally. And somebody drove by. 15 minutes later, the police come. And all they wanted to know was I drinking, this, that.
Oh my God!
And it was just harassment from that point on, because I had a tool roll that was rolled up in a Crown Royal bag, and so they seen the Crown Royal bag, and they were just like, they wouldn't get off the drinking thing.
Oh my God!
Well, let me ask you this: did you do a braking, or did you hit the throttle?
Well, I tried. I didn't really have enough time to brake, so I tried to maneuver around it and miss it. But I ended up hitting the deer right in the front, and then that's when he came down and broke the front fender right off the fork tube and locked my front tire up.
So as you're tumbling through the air, what is going? I mean, you kind of just like there. It kind of everything stops for a second. I mean, what were obviously you were discombobulated. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I really didn't have time to think. I just kind of did a tuck and roll. Thank God I had a helmet on, and just kind of tucked and rolled and landed on my feet, and with all the adrenaline, I didn't even know my ankle was broken. I was walking around looking for my phone, trying to get light.
Yeah.
But,
how did that make you feel with the cops and how they just jumped on the drinking stuff and say instead of saying, "Hey, are you all right?"
Yeah. Hey, are you going to be okay?
That's kind of where I was at. I'm like, look, dude, I just hit a deer, and you guys, that's all you want to worry about is what I was drinking, And it was 2:00 in the morning. It was like maybe 1:30, and so of course, I had a couple drinks, but I wasn't inebriated or drunk or anything, And
I can't tell you how many.
When I hit this deer, I was
good.
I was 3 miles from the house, man. Literally 3 miles from the house.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many guys I know that have a Crown Royal bag filled with tools and springs and zip ties like that. That is the most common bag to have on your bike in your bags. I've seen probably 100 of them. For them to think that that's what you had and to make that a point, I mean, that's why I'm not a big fan of cops.
Well, yeah.
Pennsylvania is rough, man.
How long did you spend in the hospital?
Well, no, actually, I was in and out of there. They put my hand and wrist in a cast, put my leg in like a walking boot type like thing, and I ended up having to get 2 surgeries to get my thumb put back on because I guess like the handlebars must have jerked back and just ripped my right thumb, like it was kind of facing backwards. And so I went through that. So I actually didn't get my motorcycle back together until, man, it was probably like October 22 before I got my motorcycle put back together.
Wow.
Well, we
So
appreciate
I didn't ride for a while.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate hearing your story and all your support for the Madhouse and Marco's Motorcycle Nation.
Yeah, man.
You really rock, man, and we appreciate the
Yeah,
call.
love the channel, guys. Keep doing it.
Rock
Yeah.
on, man.
Thank
We'll
you
talk
for
to
helping us, man. That's awesome.
Later.
Yeah, take care.
See, I really love the call-ins. You know what? That's the most biggest thing I enjoy is talking to everybody. That's why I love the members only, because in that one they come on camera and we talk about the issues that we're having, but it seems like a lot of our people have been in the situation. I know if you're on a motorcycle at one point or another, you're going to run into this kind of situation with deer or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in critters, it doesn't have to be a deer. I mean, we had a call earlier, a possum or groundhog. I mean, they all can do massive damage. I mean, you don't have to hit a deer to have a catastrophic problem. And even dude, grass clippings, one of the worst things you can ride through. And I mean, so you just, it's dangerous. What we do is dangerous. We all know we take big risks. But it's good to talk about. It is good, and I'll be the first to admit, man, I should have been going slower. I should have had my brights on, and those are good learning lessons, ones that I should reincorporate. And on long trips, I do wear helmets. If I'm going for long distances, this was only 100 miles, so I didn't really, whatever. But yeah, I get it, man. I mean, it's you only got one dude.
Do you notice the trend though? And I was never a believer in it because I believe you get the choice to do what you want, and my choice was never to wear a helmet.
Right.
But when you get a little older and a little wiser, and hear the stories of how a helmet helped out people, it's no shit a no-brainer at that point. I would say, is it worth looking cool or saving your noggin?
Yeah. I mean, dude, I'm with you. I just don't, I just take off sometimes. A lot of stuff is, I like I said, if I'm going to be sort of close, I just get on my bike and I go. Long distances, I ride to Milwaukee every other weekend to grab my son from Toledo. It's 600 miles, well, 500 and some change to where I go. And I ride a helmet back and forth down the interstate. But I don't know. I'm with you, man. I just, I don't know. I just like sometimes not having a helmet on and the freedom, but I know that's a big problem. And you probably should.
Well, one thing I do know is with Mike Ball, when he showed the helmet to China Down, my old lady, she is 100% with the helmets now just to see what could happen.
Yeah.
Me, again, I'm more in the 3/4 or halves, but it's at least something if you knock your head on right there.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the days of not wearing one because you think you're a pussy, that's all should be out the door, man. You should protect yourself. I mean, hockey players, football players, they all wear helmets. So it's, if it's a manly thing for you, don't. I mean, obviously, it's everyone's decision, and sometimes the decision is made for you. When I lived in Maryland, I had to wear a helmet because there's a helmet law there. But, it is.
Well, that's just like Jason. He just asked, what is the right type of helmet to get then, or does it vary person to person with own personal preferences? And I believe that.
Oh, yeah.
It's personal preference of what you want to wear. But the best helmets, I would have to say, are full face. I wouldn't even say modulars are the best because the way modulars are built, they can pop in a heartbeat. But I would have to say the best out there are full face, man, because everything's protected at that point. Where at least, with a 3/4, your front of your face is open. A half lid or beanie, at least your top,
your entire face. Yeah. Well, like the guy that was the EMT said that guy slid 200 feet and he was missing his face from his chin to his eyeballs. That would never happen in a full face helmet. That would be all helmet, having abrasive to the ground. It wouldn't be your chin and your face. So you're right. In that scenario, no other helmet other than a full face. And if you want to be safe, that's, there's that's probably the best.
And I would also have to say, you got to watch out the type of helmet you buy, especially on Amazon. If they're cheap and they
don't
claim
go
they're
cheap.
DOT, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not DOT.
If you're gonna buy a helmet, buy a real helmet. You know what I mean? Like, well, I don't know why you would. Don't buy a DOT fake or these little these little they call them novelty helmets or whatever. Just, I mean, if you're gonna wear one, you might as well wear a safe one.
Exactly.
Because,
don't risk your health over $20. Your life's more than that.
Yeah.
I like Bells a lot.
Xena's
got a new one out. So there's a lot of good products out there. You just got to
try them on. Yeah. Try them on. Go to I know Cycle Gear, let you try them on, and they'll walk you through it. You want them to be pressed pretty tight against your cheekbones and be comfortable. And yeah, dude, I mean, there's no reason you should be safe.
And also, I wouldn't be sitting there and worried what people say about you, especially if you want to wear, you got your motorcycle gloves that are street resistant with your knuckles, or if you want to, I know a lot of guys on the Rockets dress up real good with the jackets and the pants.
Right.
Don't worry what other people say.
You know what? It doesn't matter what they say. You won't be lying in the hospital with missing a face. I mean, it is worth it's worth your life to do, man. I mean, listen, it's already dangerous enough riding a motorcycle. So if you're in it for the danger, you already got that. And a lot of times it's not anything that you're doing. In this case, for me, nothing. I mean, I was obviously probably going a little fast, but I mean, this is just an act. Could just be somebody pulling out in front of you, somebody cutting you off, a deer coming out on the road. It's 9 times out of 10, it's not even your fault. You're wearing protection because of other people.
Exactly. Well, that was a great show. We appreciate all the call-ins that we had. Thanks for coming over to Insane Wheels. Make sure you like and subscribe. Same thing with Marco's Motorcycle Nation. That really helps us out. Leave comments, man. Tell us your experience in the comments section. Don't forget to listen to motorcyclemadhouse.com over there 24/7, baby. Marco is usually on at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I believe it is. And then, of course, your biker news over on Insane Throttle. But we'll let you guys and gals go have you a hamburger or something like that. We'll talk to you later. Rock
Join
on.
the Insane Throttle Members Only Club on YouTube or Spotify and receive exclusive content Monday through Friday at 9:20 a.m. Central Standard Time. Your membership in the Throttle Club helps keep the show going.
Introducing the all-new service from Insane Throttle, Motorcycle Madhouse Radio. 24/7 and nothing but the best in 80s till today rock and metal, baby. And here's an added bonus. You can now listen to Motorcycle Madhouse Morning Show with Hollywood and Chinatown live on the air. Go to motorcyclemadhouse.com and bookmark the radio station and get down with the king of biker radio. Rock on.
I say goodbye, vamoose, adios, ciao, so long, get your hat jack.
#1 internet biker radio show is now available on Spotify and all major platforms, including iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher, and more. Don't forget to become a subscriber on any one of these platforms so you can be notified right away when our weekly episode